The pool looked like someone had tried to decorate it with a bucket of sidewalk mix. Karen stood nearby in her oversized sun hat, clutching an empty bag of cement like a trophy. With her usual smug tone, she declared, "Your pool is a hazard according to community rules." That's when my cousin Dominic pulled up in a bright orange cement truck, heavy boots on, cracking sunflower seeds between his teeth. He glared at her and muttered, "You really want to play concrete games?" 10 hours later, Karen was in handcuffs. But let me back up and explain how it all started. My name is Spencer Voss. I'm 38, divorced, and naturally more of a loner. Somehow, I ended up with a modest ranch house in Cypress Needle Estates, a neighborhood obsessed with koi ponds, friendly warning signs, and twice-monthly hedge inspections. My one guilty pleasure was the above-ground pool in my backyard. It wasn't fancy, but I'd refurbished it myself in 2022, and it meant something to me. Enter Karen Winsley, the self-proclaimed head of our HOA. Though she only got the role because nobody else showed up to the vote. She saw my pool as an eyesore, while I saw her as someone who could make even the word bougainvillea sound like a threat. Things escalated quickly. It began with notes. A neon slip under my windshield that read, "Standing water attracts mosquitoes. Rule 8.3.1. Then came photos taped to my door. My pool circled in red like it was a crime scene. She even quoted obscure HOA rules that obviously apply to hot tubs, not pools. Eventually, she held an emergency meeting about what she called community liquid hazards. Only 3 beings attended, herself, me, and her 2 cats in strollers. She ran it with a slideshow for nearly an hour, while the one other human in the room fell asleep. Her campaign didn't stop there. One morning, I found my garden hose zip-tied to a bird feeder with a sticky note that read, "Water usage under review. Compliance pending." That's when I called Dominic. He just laughed and said, "Call me if she touches a pool." I thought he was exaggerating. He wasn't. The real disaster struck on a sunny Saturday while I was at Costco. Karen showed up with 2 helpers and 5 massive bags of cement. They dumped the bags into my pool dry and filmed the whole thing like it was some victory parade. She even hosed it down, proudly announcing to her phone camera, "Today we neutralize a violation." She streamed it straight to the HOA Facebook page, grinning the entire time. But she had no idea I had security cameras. And she definitely didn't know about Dominic. When I got home and saw my pool, once clear, now a giant bowl of gray sludge, I was speechless. I called Dominic, who told me calmly, "Don't touch a thing. We'll handle it." When Dominic says that, you listen. Monday morning, he rolled up with his crew, for chain-smoking concrete veterans who treated demolition like an art form. They brought jackhammers, drones, and even made espresso on the cement mixer. Within hours, the pool was drained, every chunk of Karen's handiwork photographed and logged. Then Dominic walked straight to Karen's front door and handed her a legal-looking invoice for $6,732, charges for unauthorized concrete dumping, and, as he put it, malicious slabbery. I'm pretty sure he invented the term, but it sounded official enough. Karen stood there pretending to be innocent, arms crossed, insisting, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Would you like me to continue the story and rewrite the ending too, where Karen finally faces consequences, or stop it here as is? Dominic calmly pulled out his phone and showed her the very video she had proudly posted online. The smug expression drained from her face almost instantly. Things only got worse for her when the local news picked up the story. The clip of her dumping cement into my pool while yelling, "Begone swimming," aired on the 6 o'clock broadcast that same evening. By the next morning, sheriff's deputies were at her front door. I watched from my kitchen window as they read her rights while she tried shouting about performance art and community standards. None of it mattered. She was arrested on charges of trespassing, property destruction, and improper disposal of construction materials under Municipal Code 14.4b. The trial was nothing short of a spectacle. Karen arrived in a tailored suit, clutching binders of highlighted HOA regulations, ready to defend herself. She called her actions artistic expression, designed to raise awareness about unsafe backyard pools. The judge, a stern woman with decades on the bench, actually laughed out loud before labeling it felony vandalism with extra arrogance. Karen insisted on representing herself at first, which was a disaster. She objected to things that didn't call for objections, once declaring, "I object on the grounds of neighborhood aesthetics." The judge had to explain multiple times that aesthetics were not a legal defense. At one point, she tried to present a petition signed only by her 2 friends demanding a neighborhood-wide pool ban. The judge threatened contempt if she continued wasting time. Her closing argument pushed things over the edge. She compared herself to Rosa Parks, claiming she was standing against aquatic tyranny, and even used the phrase chlorinated oppression. Jury members struggled to contain their laughter, and one elderly juror had to step out due to coughing fits from holding it in. Meanwhile, I had filed a countersuit for damages, stress, and restoration costs. My lawyer, recommended by Dominic, tore her case apart. He presented 23 separate complaints she had filed against me in 6 months, along with social media posts where she called me a chlorine criminal and a splash zone terrorist. The jury needed less than an hour to decide. She was ordered to pay restitution for the pool, plus punitive damages, totaling $18,000. On top of that, she was fined $1,000, sentenced to 200 hours of community service, and required to attend a 12-week anger management course called Let Go of the Clipboard. The look on her face when the judge announced that was priceless. That same evening, the HOA board held an emergency vote to remove her as president. The decision was unanimous, even her allies turning against her. She screamed at the members of security, escorted her out. A restraining order was also issued, forbidding her from coming within 100 feet of any water source on my property deeper than 3 inches. Her downfall didn't stop there. Her employer, a local real estate agency, fired her after the story hit the news, citing damage to their reputation. I saw her standing in her driveway, staring blankly at her termination letter, muttering about conspiracies before retreating inside. At that point, she had racked up a suspended jail sentence, tens of thousands in fines, and her life unraveling around her, all because she couldn't leave my pool alone. But it didn't end there. Federal prosecutors got involved when it was discovered she had mailed threatening letters about my pool to city officials, accusing me of running an unlicensed water park. That opened the door to mail fraud charges. Worse, she had also filed false reports with the EPA, claiming my backyard pool was a hazardous waste site. Filing fraudulent complaints to a federal agency meant even more serious charges. When she heard about the federal case during her arraignment, she fainted in court. The bailiff offered her water, which she refused, muttering that she didn't trust any liquid not sealed in a factory bottle. Even staring at potential prison time, she couldn't let go of her obsession with water. Her attorney quit soon after, saying he'd rather represent actual criminals than deal with her endless chlorine conspiracy theories. Do you want me to also rewrite the very beginning of the story in the same style, so it all flows together as one seamless piece?